Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of The Hard Choice, Simple Steps for Showing Up. My name is Brad Draper. I am your host. Man, I'm tired. I had a killer leg workout today. I had back squat day. I actually didn't do back squats. I had squat day that I did Zercher squats. I traditionally do back squats. And my body is just slow to recover from having family in town, not eating exactly according to my diet. And so it's just adapting and moving forward. That didn't mean I didn't show up. And show up I did. Holy cow. I'm still trying to recover, and I finished over an hour ago. So I'm still hobbling around, still exhausted. Needless to say, my legs are smoked. Did Zercher squats, Bulgarian split squats, leg press, hamstring curl. It was gnarly. But the reason why I'm doing the Zercher squats, which is when you have the barbell down by your elbows and you hold it down in your torso area, is it builds your lower back. I'm working on my lower back and my glutes and my hamstrings to hit a lifetime PR of a full depth 500-pound back squat for 3 reps. I've done 500 pounds on a high box. So I'm training individual muscles. This is something that is important in fitness world, especially weightlifting, but also in business world, also in your family. Doing all of the accessory muscles to help support the primary muscles. Doing extra work outside of the primary work to help build that balance and that fortitude and that resilience. You can't just train quads full time and hope to hit a really big back squat, just like you can't hit chest all the time and hope to hit a really big bench press. You've got to do the supporting muscle groups that help along the way. That's why these are called compound movements. Same in life. You can't just work on business full time and nothing else and then expect to hit big, expect to win big. You must build the family. You must build your mind. You must build all your relationships. You must build your spirituality. All these supporting groups that help you to get to where you want to go. Now, all of this I'm talking about in form of flexibility, in adding in how flexible you really are when things get tough. Just like in fitness, if I'm not properly stretching, if I'm not properly flexible, I am more prone to injury. Think about that in your life, not just in fitness, but in life. If you're not flexible, you are more prone to injury. In the gym space, I spend a great deal of time warming things up. I don't just go straight to heavy lifting. I do light movements. I do things to lubricate my joints. Whenever I do squat day or deadlift day, I'm stretching my hip flexors and my knees and my ankles and my lower back. I'm doing all these things so I can become limber. And it's in that limberness that you find true strength. The same thing goes in life. How flexible are you when times are tough? I would venture to say they're tough all the time. And if they're not, that means you're not pushing yourself to what you could be. But when things get tough and it does not go according to plan, which is pretty much all the time, you learn how to flex through the situations, right? The one that is most flexible, or the person that is most flexible, is the person that will ultimately win the quickest and the soonest and the greatest. This is an adaptation at its finest. This is the production pivot, right? When things are not going the way you want to go, when you're sitting down, you need to move forward, you do a production pivot. You get up, you move forward, and you get after the things you need to do. Sometimes that means shifting the direction in which you're going. I've said this many times. Prior to February 5th, 2024, I would have never considered that I'd be in the day trading space or the financial technology space at all. But that's where I am. I could probably conceive that I'd be in the mentoring space because that's something I've been doing for several years. Not to this level, not to this capacity. And I'm working on partnering up with a company that helps inmates while in prison to give them the skills for when they get out. That way their return rate is lower. They actually have skills they can use and put towards entrepreneurship or anything else for that matter. But what I'm getting at is, how flexible are you? When your back is against the wall, what are you willing to do? And what are you willing to invest? I won't use the word sacrifice, because it's not a sacrifice, it's an investment. A better word than that is a guarantee. How much are you willing to guarantee your efforts? What are you willing to put on the line to make it happen? So my project that I'm moving forward, oh man, we're so close. I say this often, but we really are just so close. And a family member asked me, how much do you believe this will work? I said, well, I've maxed out every credit card. I've maxed out my HELOC, and I've maxed every leverage ability that I possibly can muster. And we are now in pre-sales, leveraging that to move the needle forward. That is how much I believe in the project, and that's how much I've given. In times past, I've started several companies, failed 5 of them for various reasons, and all of which were great learnings, and I don't regret them at all. They've made me who I am today. They have made me more flexible because they caused hardship, and in the hardship, I gained lessons, I gained learnings, and in these learnings, I became who I am today. And I will continue to do. I will continue to do so, and I will continue to learn and to grow and evolve into my ultimate self, which I will never actually achieve, by the way. You just continually grow. It's a moving target. So all of these different lessons that I've learned in business, they've taken me to this point. And from this point, I'll learn more. However, in all of these different businesses, I gained traits, I gained skills, I gained abilities, and to move the needle. I was going somewhere with that, and it's a fleeting thought, so I don't remember where it went. I digress. Where in life are you willing to give up everything? Oh, I remember what I was going to say. We're back. All these other ventures, I had a plan B. I had multiple levers to pull in the event something didn't work. I now, hindsight, realize that was a major flaw of mine. I never gave full energy into the thing that I was doing for the possibility that it didn't work. So I didn't give everything into it. That is different this time. That is quite the opposite this time. There is no plan B. If this doesn't work, we'll have to sell our house. We'll have to move. We'll have to change our entire life. I'll probably have to file for bankruptcy. And that's not going to happen. Because here's the thing. You can't fail if you keep walking. It's impossible to fail if you keep walking. You just keep going. Things pop up out of the woodworks. So for the last 4 or 5 months, we've been living each bill to each bill, figuring out how to pay them because we've leveraged everything into the company. This is the level of commitment you have to have if you're trying to get to where you're going. I want you to do a self-audit. I want you to think about where you're at now, how much energy you're putting into it, and if you're not putting everything into it, ask why not. What needs to happen to put everything into it? Maybe you're not doing the right thing. Maybe you're not truly passionate about it. Maybe your why isn't big enough. And therefore, you've got plan Bs involved. It doesn't matter what the project is. All that truly matters is how much your resolve is. There's a movie from the 80s called American Flyer. It's an old cycling movie. And in the movie, they have a statement, res firma miser nescit. I'm sure I'm not saying that right. It's in Latin. But it translates roughly to a firm resolve does not know how to weaken. How firm is your resolve? I was listening to a book yesterday and have pondered greatly one of the statements. talking about how in life, much like a GPS, your first step is the directionality step. The first thing you do tells you which direction you're even going. And you know this when you look on your GPS on your phone, whether you use Google Maps or Apple Maps or whatever maps you use. It's usually one of the two these days. When you first start your trip and you are not moving yet, it is very difficult for the GPS to know which direction you're actually aiming. So you first begin moving to learn the direction you're going, and then you pivot from there. That first step, we give far too much credence into the direction of the step. So many people don't step because they're waiting to know which direction to go. What must I do next to get to where I'm trying to go? And therefore they hem and haw and get analysis paralysis because they just sit there and hem and haw on which direction to go. In the end of the day, it doesn't matter which direction you go, as long as you step, because that first step is the directionality step. It is either confirming you're in the right direction or leading you to have a pivot or a production pivot into the right direction to change course. That first step is so important that you just simply take it sooner rather than later. And you will learn if you're on the right course or if you need to adjust. This is something I've been asked by so many of my clients. What step do I take first? And my response is always the same. It doesn't matter. You simply just have to start walking. And then you will learn with each progressive step which direction to go. So, as I said before, I had all these different companies, at 5 companies that all failed for various reasons. Those were me walking the path and then adjusting my direction as time progressed. Each one, I did give as much effort as I thought I gave everything. I really did think, I really thought, there you go, I gave my all. And in hindsight, I didn't. I now know the difference. And that's why I know this will work. That's why I know that we will find great success, because the resolve is sound. A firm resolve does not know how to weaken. Your why. The reason you're doing what you're doing. What is it? Figure it out. And doing it for my kids, doing it for my family, that may or may not be strong enough. For some people, that is strong enough. For others, it's not. Your why is unique to you. Maybe you want to feed the homeless in your neighborhood. Maybe that is your why. Maybe you want to feed people in Africa or South America or China. You want to save all the little girls in China. Whatever it might be. Think bigger. Whatever you want to do, 1000x it. Because you will unlock new doors when you do that. At the end of the day, the person that is most flexible will win the biggest and the fastest. Do not be so rigid in how you do what you do. Yes, have routines, have processes. I'm huge into processes and routines. But make sure you are flexible, and when things come, you know how to adapt, you know how to pivot, you know how to change course. Keeping the eye on the horizon, knowing where you're trying to go, not changing course and completely changing your goals and aspirations. Maybe they're changing in bigger ways, but they're still going to that destination. The path to your destination is not a straight line. It is zigzag all over the place, loop-de-loop, and you probably paced back and forth about 1,000 times. But that's okay, as long as you're progressing. That's all that truly matters. Be flexible, and in doing so, you will win. Have this conversation with your friends and your family. Share this episode with whoever you think needs to be more flexible, that needs to hear this message. Maybe that's you. Listen to it again. Leave me a review. Leave me a comment. Leave me a message. Let's have a conversation. I love to hear them. I love to hear from you guys. My socials handle is Mr. Brad Draper. You can find me on all the platforms with that name. like this thing, subscribe to it, download it for future listenings. Until next week, I love you guys. Bye.